This is CBC Vancouver News.
Rather take my own bag.
I think that's a good price.
I think it should come from the company if they're going to pass that, as opposed to passing along to the consumer.
Get ready to pay more at the grocery store. BC's ban on single-use plastics is rolling in. Plus,
We are looking at temperatures that are continuing to rise in many areas of the province.
BC braces for more wildfires as thunderstorms and wind move in, but outside help is on the way. And
it's very sacred, and it's got a lot of history for our people.
an ancient village site once considered sacred is being returned to a First Nation near Nanaimo. Hello, I'm Michelle Ghoussoub. Thanks for joining us. Well, get ready to pay for paper or a reusable bag the next time you hit the grocery store, and bid goodbye to those takeout meals served in plastic or styrofoam. As Mira Baines reports, today the province's push to cut down on single-use plastics takes another step forward.
New regulations have come into effect across BC aimed at phasing out single-use plastics. That means businesses can offer paper bags for 25 cents each and reusable bags for $2. BC's rules first rolled out last December to align with federal guidelines. Some shoppers are still getting used to the idea.
We do have a lot of reusable bags, but I just forgot it today, and we're on the way back, so I just picked this up and just gonna hold it all in my hands.
Would I pay 25 cents for a bag? I think it's a bit ridiculous. It's actually on the, I think it should come from the company if they're going to pass that, as opposed to passing along to the consumer. I think it should be absorbed by the business.
The fact of having to pay, 25 cents or whatever, call me cheap, but yeah, I'll just rather take my own bag.
For restaurants and food service businesses, the cost of packaging takeout has gone up.
Probably in the order of 2 or 3 or 4 cents. That makes a big difference. People go, that's not a big deal, but it is a big deal when you start dealing with thousands of different containers.
The rules were delayed by 6 months to give businesses more time to switch. Enforcement will be geared towards education.
We will respond to complaints, but our approach is going to be to work with retailers to help them understand what compliance looks like.
Still, a big question remains: how many times do you need to use a reusable bag before it becomes more environmentally friendly than a single-use plastic one? A UN study has found a cotton bag must be reused 50 to 100 times to make it more environmentally friendly than a plastic bag. A durable non-woven bag 10 to 20 times, and a low-density polyethylene 5 to 10 times, and a paper one 4 to 8 times.
And in many instances, we actually don't use reusable bags enough to actually accrue an environmental benefit.
The City of Vancouver started a program that allows people to donate reusable shopping bags so people without homes or on low incomes can use them. It's given out 15,000 reusable bags. Mira Baines, CBC News, Vancouver.
The BC Wildfire Service says thunderstorms and windy conditions are expected to roll into the province this week, and those could spark more blazes. And the danger isn't limited to new fires. The service says existing fires are increasing in intensity and could become more threatening.
We are looking at temperatures that are continuing to rise in many areas of the province, including the southern half of the province, so getting back into that 40-degree range. With that, of course, comes the drying of fuels. And as a part of that weather that we're expecting, we're also anticipating some thunderstorms and some lightning. So there is the potential for more ignitions from the lightning that we may get in the southern half of the province in the next week or so.
Meanwhile, provincial crews are supporting the Popcom Fire Department as they respond to a wildfire northwest of Wall-Leach Lake close to Highway 1. That's east of Agassiz in the Fraser Valley. The fire is now being held and is suspected to be human-caused. And fire crews say despite extensive publicity about a province-wide campfire ban on Friday, the Chilliwack Fire Department put out several campfires over the weekend and handed out fines. Meanwhile, 6 fire departments responded to a car fire near Osoyoos. It quickly spread up a dry, grassy slope towards 2 houses. Fire crews managed to extinguish it just 10 feet from the nearest house. And this image taken from terrace shows smoke rising near Rosswood in the northwest of BC, where several campgrounds have been evacuated. The BC Wildfire Service said the fire is nearby, but not currently a threat to any buildings. And BC is also getting a national and international firefighting boost. A 20-person crew from Nova Scotia came in over the weekend. 2 firefighting aircraft from Ontario have landed and will be stationed in Williams Lake. And Australian and New Zealand firefighters are expected to arrive on Friday to help battle those wildfires. We're in day 4 of that province-wide campfire ban. Even the smallest spark can set the landscape ablaze. Richmond RCMP say a dangerous grass fire was caused by a discarded cigarette butt recently. And as Tom Popick reports, officials are pleading for people to be more careful.
Discarded cigarette butts are not just a growing concern in this dry weather. For firefighters, it's a constant pain in the...
I would say probably on a weekly basis where there's, a cigarette butt has caused some sort of a fire.
Vancouver Fire Acting Assistant Chief Zawada says it doesn't take much to start a blaze these days.
But I would say the worst problem is just cigarettes that aren't properly butted out.
Just take a look. West Vancouver Fire Department released this video from last year. Afternoon workers on a smoke break carefully butting out in the garden soil. Then hours later, that cigarette smoldering and turning a hedge into an inferno within minutes. The homeowners frantically scrambling to douse the flames with a garden hose before firefighting crews arrive.
Definitely danger in the parks. Everything is really dry this time of year, from, hedges, grass, everything.
It's why the Vancouver Park Board is also raising the alarm, reminding people smoking and open fires are prohibited in parks and on beaches year-round, urging anyone using barbecues at designated picnic sites to be vigilant. In the woods, carelessness can cause catastrophe. The BC Wildfire Service blames smoking for the 2017 Elephant Hills wildfire near Ashcroft. Over 191,000 hectares of forest burned over 3 months, destroying more than 100 homes and causing over $1 billion in damage.
Really trying to bring awareness to not throw the butts on the ground.
Yasmin Schleppens is hoping to clean up the problem, founding the Butt Watch campaign. She's urging all smokers to get into the habit of using dedicated trash cans or keep those butts in your pants.
It's really good to have one of those pocket ashtrays with you that you can put the cigarette butt in. It basically butts out the cigarette butt for you.
A simple solution, so when there's smoking, there doesn't have to be fire. Tom Popick, CBC News, Kelowna.
Well, here in Vancouver, 2 homes were destroyed by a house fire earlier this evening. It happened around Commercial and East 47th around 6 p.m. Vancouver Fire and Rescue said the fire completely engulfed one home. It then quickly spread to a second, and it came close to burning a third before crews were able to put it out. One occupant was taken to hospital with minor injuries, but no one else appears to have been injured. The cause of that fire is still unknown. An ancient village site is being returned to a First Nation on Vancouver Island. More than 2 hectares of land next to Millstone River in Nanaimo will be returned, with plans for redevelopment. Claire Palmer reports.
An eyesore on Nanaimo's waterfront, now with a promising future.
Well, the whole intent of our government is to look at the future of our people, and that's what we've done. We've looked at the future of our unborn to what can we develop and create for them moving into the future as part of the city of Nanaimo, as Nanaimo people, as the first peoples of this land.
The former Howard Johnson Hotel property has been eyed for potential development for years, but is located on an ancient village site of the Snuneymuxw. Now, the province and Snuneymuxw have purchased the 2.67 hectare property, which previously housed a hotel, parking lot, and other businesses. BC contributed $26 million with the express purpose of Snuneymuxw development.
It's 170 years since the Douglas Treaty, where promises were made that would be protected as a village site. It obviously hasn't been. And so this is part of our journey of reconciliation together to make sure that that's restored.
Very excited, very happy. As you noticed, our people are here today to hear this announcement. And a lot of ex-chiefs, ex-leaders of our people are here today to follow through and bring this across the finish line for our people is very, very happy day for us.
Last year, the Snuneymuxw spoke out against a proposed development on the site, saying that they wanted to be involved because of the sanctity of the land.
It's very sacred and it's got a lot of history for our people. So without us being at the table, we had to come forward and make our case. And we've done that, and here we are today. So we're very thankful that we're here today talking about this land being transferred back to Snuneymuxw people.
The nation says they plan to demolish the abandoned hotel in the next 4 months. The province and the city called the return of the land a win.
This was a traditional village site. It didn't take rocket science to figure out that at some point, if you're really going to have reconciliation, you would have to either compensate or return the lands or both. And today we're starting down a really good path. This is going to be a wonderful economic opportunity for the city, most importantly for Snuneymuxw.
The provincial government will maintain ownership until demolition and cleanup of the site is complete. It will then be officially transferred to the nation. Claire Palmer, CBC News, Nanaimo.
They're a friendly staple of summer and a valuable pollinator, but researchers are concerned that dozens of butterflies are missing in Metro Vancouver. As Abby Luciano reports, scientists say native street trees could help bring them back.
Anecdotally, this year has been really bad.
Stephen Deeds Vink is a Butterfly Way ranger working with the David Suzuki Foundation. For 6 years, his job has been to keep butterflies and bees thriving in this North Vancouver green space called Butterfly Way Lane. But he's worried about the butterflies.
This year, I've seen about 2 or 3, and normally we'd see about 100. So, just in this little area.
UBC researchers are trying to figure out where the pollinators may be. This past winter could be to blame.
Personally, I think it's probably related to that cold snap, although it was only 3 days. We don't know for sure that the cold snap was absolutely due to climate change, but we do know that the extremes are more likely to happen with climate change.
On the species recording site iNaturalist, people can upload photos of butterflies they've spotted. It shows on the Lower Mainland, people uploaded 672 butterflies from March to July. But last year, people shared more than 1,500 images. So what could help bring more of them back?
Native species of butterflies and moths really do need native species of plants in order to survive.
The UBC study finds local street trees bring in the butterflies. They're associated with 5 times as many native butterflies compared to non-native trees in Vancouver.
Maybe we should think a little bit more about the geographic origin of the tree that we're planting in our cities.
Researchers also suggest limiting the use of insecticides.
If the butterflies disappear, I think that we've got a bigger problem. And I think with young kids and everybody, who doesn't like a butterfly flying around?
For now, Deeds Vink and other volunteers are growing Butterfly Way Lane and hope more of the namesake insects return soon. Abby Luciano, CBC News, North Vancouver.
Days after surviving an assassination attempt, Donald Trump is officially named as the Republican nominee. We'll have the details after the break. Stay tuned. Just 2 days after surviving an assassination attempt, Donald Trump has officially won the Republican presidential nomination and has named his vice presidential running mate at the Republican National Convention. Our Paul Hunter is inside the RNC as delegates welcome the VP pick.
On a certain level, this Republican National Convention looks like any other, celebratory, happily partisan, and noisy. But ask delegates on the floor about what happened to Donald Trump on the weekend and...
I think it means President Trump's going to win and has to win. Look, they've tried to silence him, bankrupt him, jail him, and now kill him.
Biden is calling for unity. Is that possible? Is it an achievable? Should it be achieved? Can it be achieved at this point?
He can take his unity and shove it up his ass.
Indeed, at this convention, emotions are sky high. But there was also a job to do, to officially nominate Donald Trump as the Republican Party's candidate for the White House.
The great state of Nebraska.
The great state of California.
The great Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
State by state, the votes were tallied, with a delegate from Florida, Trump's son, Eric, putting him over the top.
For the greatest president that's ever lived, and that's Donald J. Trump, hereby declaring him the Republican nominee for President of the United States of America.
Nomination official, Trump's big reveal was his running mate, J.D. Vance, a first-term senator from Ohio, just 39 years old. He's a best-selling author and a fierce Trump loyalist. He's Trump's pick for the vice presidency. But Vance was also once a fierce Trump critic. In 2016, a self-described never-Trumper who called Trump an idiot, later saying that view was mistaken. And now here he is. Meanwhile, outside the security perimeter in Milwaukee, anti-Trumpers underlining ever more the seemingly unbridgeable political divide in this country.
We don't need a convicted criminal back in the White House. And sick and tired of it.
It's Paul Hunter reporting. The aftermath of that assassination attempt on Saturday continues to be felt, and questions are being raised about how such a close call could be possible. The FBI says it is making progress in its investigation of the man who shot at Trump at his weekend rally. But Karen Pauls is in Butler, Pennsylvania, where that shooting looms large.
2 days after the attempted assassination, this couple still can't think about anything else.
This is my hometown. This happened here.
They had arrived at the Donald Trump rally in Butler, Pennsylvania early, full of anticipation.
We got relatively close to the stage.
Everybody was excited to be there.
But about 6 minutes into Trump's speech, people in the crowd saw something suspicious and tried to alert the police.
Yeah, someone's on top of the roof. Look. There he is right there. Right there, see him?
A bullet hit the former president in the ear. One man in the crowd was killed, 2 others injured before snipers shot the shooter.
As soon as I heard that first sound, I knew what it was. And my first focus was my fiance.
I wanted to see if President Trump was okay. I wanted to see if my family was okay, my fiance okay. You know, it was just, even though it happened so fast, it was like it was in slow motion.
The shooter was up on that building, less than 150 meters away from the stage, right over there by that flag. The questions, the finger pointing, and the reviews started immediately.
President Trump wasn't killed, but the fact that someone under Secret Service protection was even hurt is a failure.
The FBI says it has now gained access to the phone of the shooter, 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks, and have completed a search of his house and vehicle. But authorities still don't know why Crooks carried out what he must have known would be a suicide mission.
We're going to let the investigation and the review deliver the factual findings, and we'll act upon those.
Hi, handsome.
For neighbors, nothing stands out.
It seems like your average American dorky young man.
Pictures of the crowd.
Nicole Cornaby is still processing what happened.
I'm really just relying on my faith and hope that that we can be a country united.
You were right underneath.
Karen Pauls, CBC News, Butler, Pennsylvania.
The attempted assassination of Donald Trump has raised many questions about security for politicians in the U.S., and those concerns are being echoed here at home. When asked about politicians in Canada, Federal Public Safety Minister Dominique LeBlanc says there is no cause for alarm.
I have every confidence that the RCMP take all the steps necessary to protect Canadian politicians. Yesterday, I convened a briefing with the Commissioner of the RCMP, the Director of CSIS, the Deputy Minister of Public Safety. They went through the threat landscape. They talked to me about the additional vigilance that they've put in place since the assassination attempt on former President Trump Saturday evening.
And here's a live shot of the White Rock Pier. Darius will have your full forecast next.
Hi, I'm Amy Bell, and here's what's in your CBC Vancouver inbox.
Applications are now open for CBC's Indigenous Pathways to Journalism program. This paid 9-month learning and development opportunity supports Indigenous candidates to really hone their skills as storytellers. Indigenous Pathways provides journalism training, career development support, and work experience. Applicants do not require journalism education or experience to apply. Learn more at cbc.ca/pathways.
The weather update is brought to you by Direct Buy Furnace. To cool and clean the air in your home, call Direct Buy Furnace. Installing Trane, the most reliable heating and cooling brand.
And our Darius Madavi joins us now for a look at the forecast. Darius, I know you've been tracking potential storms that could come through and could aggravate some of the fires that we've seen.
Yes, mostly in the eastern half of the province, and mostly from midweek to sort of the end of the week, we could start to see some of those storms, although there is a chance in the southeast even tomorrow. So things that we're going to be watching, especially given that the fire danger is so high, any new fire start could spread really rapidly, especially as we start to see winds pick up towards the end of this week. Now, we're also seeing temperatures come up in the southern half of the province. They've been high. The heat warnings have been in place for a long time now in much of the southern interior, and they're not going away anytime soon. In fact, we have another ridge of high pressure building in, going to spike those temperatures again over the next couple days. So Tuesday, Wednesday this week, expect temperatures to once again in parts of the interior be 40 degrees or even above there in parts of the southern interior. Now, if we zoom in, you can see where we still have some of those heat warnings. Just this morning, Alberta was just under a very small heat warning just for parts of the province, just up in the north, really, and they said that they would likely spread to the rest of Alberta. A similar thing will likely happen in the southern parts of BC. We've already seen that new heat warning come into place for the northeast as those temperatures climb, so be prepared for that as a real probability. It's really likely to happen. Now, in terms of precipitation, really only coming to the northwest in any significant organized form. Some convective showers may pop up for parts of the interior, but that also brings the risk of those convective storms as well. So keep that in mind. In terms of smoke conditions, also mostly in the northeast we're worried about, but now we're starting to see that smoke spread to more of the southern interior, and also a fire that's being held on the island just east of Duncan is also causing some smoke that may reach here in Vancouver and much of the South Island as well. Now, in terms of temperatures over the next few days, as I mentioned, coming up over the next little while, Kamloops likely to hit 40 degrees by Wednesday, parts of the Fraser Canyon probably even before that. As we get into the end of this week, temperatures will moderate a little bit in some places, but generally still high enough to cause some real trouble in terms of those fires, especially when you factor in those storms and you factor in those winds that should be coming along with them as well. In terms of conditions across the province, we're still looking mostly sunny across BC, although there is a chance again of some storms, mostly down in the southeastern corner, although some rain is also a possibility down in Golden. Other than that, really just sunshine. And here in Vancouver, same story, mostly sunshine, although midweek, end of this week, Michelle, we may see some cloud for the first time in quite a while.
Yeah, we're not used to that anymore, Darius.
No, definitely not.
Hey, thanks so much.
Thank you.
That is your late news for this Monday. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. For news anytime, including all the latest on the wildfires burning across the province, you can visit our website. That's cbc.ca/BC. Your next local news is on the early edition on CBC Radio 1, and that starts tomorrow at 5:30. Good night.